as bad as Trump is, there's also blame on the Democratic side. Trump used in his press conference, whatever that was yesterday, the term alt-left. If you don't know what that is, I don't either, because it's a made-up bullshit term that was pretty much made up. It's kind of like a tag team partnership. Sean Hannity uses it a lot. The alt-right, in defense of themselves, use it a lot. It's kind of this red herring, like, well, what about the alt-left? Yes, there are some, frankly, kooky people to the left of Emma and I that I don't even think are really progressive, and they are kind of regenerating like something online. But overall, there is no such thing as the alt-left. But you know who pushed the term the alt-left? Neoliberal hacks who have been trying to knock down the exploding progressive movement.
Well, do you want me to read this piece by Sarah Jones?
I want to start with a tweet.
Gotcha.
So our colleague Nomiki Kuntz, who's probably drinking Pinot Noir in Spain or wherever the hell she is on vacation, she took time to tweet last night in response. She tweeted in response to the Trump says the alt-left bears some responsibility for violence in Charlottesville. Nobody wants to say that. So Nomiki, in response to Trump saying that, said, I think it's time for us to call for the head of the Center for American Progress, who continuously calls those on front lines of protests alt-left, to resign.
Boom.
Who she's talking about is Neera Tanden, who I've gotten in some Twitter fights. I'm blocked by her. Are you blocked by her?
I am.
Yeah. So you ain't cool if you're not blocked by Neera Tanden.
Badge of honor.
So it's not just Neera Tanden who has used the alt-left vernacular. It's MSNBC host Joy Reid. I have also been blocked by her.
Not blocked yet.
All right, we're getting there. Well, we're getting more popular. So Joy Reid has, when attacking the Bernie Bros and now sisters, she has coined the alt-left. Joan Walsh, another MSNBC host, she's with The Nation. I've gotten in epic fights with her on Twitter. They've used the alt-left. And I just want to be very clear. I am not ascribing racial sentiments to them. I don't think any of them are racist. Obviously, Joy Reid is African American. So that's not what we're talking about here. But what we're talking about is these neoliberal corporate hacks, in my view, have basically coined a phrase or been tag teaming with Sean Hannity to create the alt-left, essentially, to, you know, try and discredit, delegitimize the exploding progressive movement. And now the President of the United States, in his fascist speech, is borrowing their phraseology.
Absolutely. So The New Republic is a great publication, and Sarah Jones is a wonderful writer that writes for there, and she talked about this a little bit, and she said, unlike the term alt-right, which was coined by white supremacists to give their age-old movement a modern edge, the alt-left is an insult. As my colleague Cleo Chang wrote in March of liberals who continue to use the term, a graver sin is the adaptation of a term that was created by conservatives to smear the left and discredit criticisms of the glowing crowd of the racist right. So that is true. It does allow for this media narrative like, there are crazies on both sides. There's the alt-left and there's the alt-right. No, the alt-right was, they deemed themselves the alt-right. It was a rebranding model for white supremacists, for racists, for far-right crazy people that want to dismantle this government and bring it back to the 1940s or whatever. Yet, because Democrats wanted more and liberals wanted more than Hillary Clinton's center-rightness and demanded that she not take corporate money and demanded that she back away from these trade deals and demanded that she speak out on the Dakota Access Pipeline, because that was what the left wanted. They were deemed so crazy by Joy Reid and Joan Walsh that they were deemed the alt-left. That doesn't make any sense. That's just the base of the party as opposed to essentially white supremacists rebranded. Some of the tweets that were in this article from Neera Tanden. I'm surprised I can see them because she blocked me. But she said, I remember last summer when I pointed out Russia's role in leaking / the elections, and the alt-left attacked me for McCarthyism, #backwards. So she said that in February. Lots of insane buzzwords in there. Of course, she had to throw in Russia. Joan Walsh also said, using this term, well, Hillary Clinton made it a brighter place, but it wasn't valued, even on much of the American left, especially the alt-left. Apparently, Hillary Clinton is not valued by the alt-left, which is true because we actually demand more from our politicians. There are other tweets that throw Jill Stein in the mix for the alt-left. Joanne Reed also said, alt-left, well done, perfect descriptor, once that term was eventually coined. So Joy Reid praised that term, which was then used by Donald Trump in his speech. It goes to show, it was the same thing when they talked about how fake news was why Trump got elected. All the time, fake news, fake news, fake news, fake news. Not that Hillary Clinton was a flawed candidate, but that people were so misinformed by memes that Donald Trump got elected. Now look at it, all the right, Trump included. Fake news, fake news, fake news. They've co-opted the term for their own uses, because when you use loosey-goosey terms like that and you just throw them around to discredit your political opponents without any substance, then look, the right takes it up and they've used it as their mantra, including now the alt-left. So I hope Joy Reid and Joan Walsh and all these other goddamn hacks are really pleased with themselves.
And I think what's really interesting about this is, you know, I was watching MSNBC today, and there's several hosts who are asking guests, like, what does the alt-left mean? And basically saying what we're saying. It's a made-up term. I heard Andrea Mitchell say that. Who's no progressive. She's an establishment journalist. Yeah, I heard Stephanie Rule, I think her name is, like, you know, Trump's making up this term. I think you should all get together in the NBC commissary and talk to your friend Joy Reid, because she's been pushing this alt-left nonsense. So to be very clear, so my words are not twisted, Joy Reid, Joan Walsh, Neera Tanden, they have nothing to do with what happened in Charlottesville. I'm not blaming them, so let's be clear. I'm also not saying they're racist. Those two things are not connected. What I'm saying is, when a fascist president of the United States and Sean Hannity can borrow phraseology from neoliberal idiots who are basically trying to resist progressive change by ascribing ridiculous fake terms and trying to equate progressives with fascists and racists, because that's what the alt-right is. I don't even want to call it the alt-right. It's the white supremacists.
Right, it's giving them their name that they want to use to make themselves more like ice cream and happiness.
They're not the alt-right. They're white supremacists. Steve Bannon is a white supremacist. Breitbart.com, if not explicitly white supremacist, stewers in a big gumbo stewer of white supremacy. So the bottom line is, when you have MSNBC hosts saying, oh, what is the alt-left? I know Joy Reid's not tweeting about it today, is she? I'm sure you're not going to hear about it on her show. I'm sure Neera Tanden, who is putting together, I believe, an Ideas Conference, they're calling it.
That doesn't sound vague at all.
The Ideas Conference, which is essentially another scam conference, like the one I just covered, sorry, Netroots, to basically get together establishment people, play identity politics, and try and keep the Democratic Party in the center. The bottom line is, they are not to blame for Charlottesville, but we need to be clear right now that these people are intellectual frauds. Joy Reid, by the way, I booked her a few times when I used to be a guest booker at MSNBC. She was actually quite lovely when I spoke with her before she got a show. Maybe the lights have gotten too bright. But these people, essentially, to try, and they can't win in the battle of ideas. So when I tweeted Joy Reid, in response to that in the past, she said, stop mansplaining. And oh, Bernie bros. And the same with Joan Walsh. When they can't win on ideas, they ascribe to you sexism or racism.
Donna Brazile, I believe, did that to you as well.
Right. Or the alt-left. And you know what? I'm not a perfect person. Emma can tell you I'm not a perfect person. I'm a little stubborn in some ways, but I will acknowledge when I'm wrong. Maybe I should have covered Trump a little more. I don't think I made the difference in his election, and if I did, pay me more, because that would mean I'm much more important than I think. But until these hacks are called out as hacks, because you know what? The bottom line is, it's not sinister. What they're doing is not based on race. What they're doing is based on misdirection. They're trying to distract. They're trying to discredit the progressive movement. They're trying to equate progressives who, yes, we have a purity test, Medicare for all, and actually representing your constituents rather than the donors. That doesn't make us equal to white supremacists. Those two things, very different. So the fact that Sean Hannity and now the president are borrowing terms from Neera Tanden and Joy Reid, you guys should look in the mirror and be ashamed of yourself. Closing thoughts?
I think that's how we should close. Boom. Jordan's not perfect. I am, and that's what you get to learn from this educational video.